Hey there, teachers. Today, we are diving into a really powerful standard, one that does so much more than just teach reading. It actually helps our students become intentional, effective writers. We're going to talk about how to turn them into true text architects.
It always helps to start with the end in mind. And this goal right here, this is our North Star. See, it's not just about students pointing out a heading. It's about them understanding why an author made certain choices. And then, this is the important part, being able to make those same strategic decisions in their own writing. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll break down the standard itself. Then, we're going to walk through that gradual release model that we all know and love, right? The I do, where you're modeling. The we do, where they practice together. The you do, where they fly solo. And finally, we'll talk about how to know they've really got it. Okay, first up, let's decode the standard. What are we really asking our students to know and be able to do when it comes to text organization? Well, in teacher-friendly language, we are teaching our students to be thinkers. They're not just, throwing in a bold word because it looks cool. They're asking themselves, okay, who am I writing this for? What am I trying to say? And what's the best way to build this thing so my reader really gets it? It's a huge shift from just being a reader to being a creator. Now, this is a really key distinction we have to make crystal clear for our students. On one hand, you have text features. These are the visual signposts, the things you can literally point to on the page, like a heading or a caption. But then you have organizational structures. And that's the invisible blueprint, the way the author has arranged all the ideas, like showing cause and effect. One's visual, the other's all about logic.
So what's the magic that holds all these ideas together? It's cohesion. We gotta teach it as the glue of writing. We want students to see that words like because, however, or next aren't just little add-ons. They're powerful tools that build bridges from one idea to the next, making the whole thing easy for the reader to follow.
Okay, so let's get practical. How does this actually look in the classroom? Well, it all starts with the I do phase, where we are front and center, modeling our thinking out loud. So you want to start by setting a really clear purpose. You grab a great mentor text, maybe a cool nonfiction article, and you say something just like this. You're basically inviting your students to put on their detective hats with you, to peek behind the curtain and see how the author built the text. And we guide them with questions. We're not just telling them stuff. So when a student says, hey, I see bold words, our next move is to ask, awesome, why do you think the author did that? It's that back and forth that lets you co-create these really meaningful anchor charts that they'll actually go back and use, because hey, they helped make them. All right, so we've done our modeling. Now it's time to ease back a little and let the kids work together. This is the we do phase. And I've got a fantastic strategy for this part, the feature and structure detective jigsaw. It's super active, it's collaborative, and it gives kids a really clear mission when they dive into a text. The process itself is really simple and structured. You get them into their groups, give them a short, interesting text. Then they use sticky notes to tag team the work. First, they hunt for those visual features. Then comes the big challenge, figuring out the underlying structure. And that last step, the share out, is so important because that's when the whole class gets to learn from each other. To make sure group work doesn't go off the rails, giving everyone a specific job is a total game changer. Simple roles like these keep everyone accountable. The feature finder is on the lookout for visual stuff, while the structure detective is thinking about that bigger picture, how all the ideas are connected. Everyone has a piece of the puzzle. And you can just picture it, can't you? The classroom is buzzing with this focused energy. You've got kids pointing to the text, talking about their ideas, using those colorful sticky notes to make their thinking visible. This is where that learning really starts to stick. And this right here, this is the aha moment we are working for. When a student can say something like this, you know they've gone past just identifying things. They're explaining the relationship between ideas, and they're pulling evidence straight from the text to back it up. That is some serious high-level thinking. Okay, so they've had success working together. Now we're ready to see if they can do it on their own, in the you do part of the lesson. A mini-write is the absolute perfect bridge to independent work. It's not some big, scary 5-paragraph essay. It's a really focused task. You just say, hey, you just found cause and effect in that article? Your turn. Write me one paragraph that uses cause and effect. That immediate application is what makes the learning concrete. But what about our friends who might need a little more support? A sentence scramble is a fantastic way to differentiate. You just take a really good paragraph, cut it into strips, and have them put it back together.
It takes away the pressure of coming up with new ideas and lets them focus completely on logical flow and finding those glue words. It's such a brilliant scaffold.
So last but not least, how do we know they've actually mastered this standard? Let's talk about assessment, what to look for, and some quick ways to check for understanding.
These right here are your look fors. This is what mastery actually looks and sounds like in the classroom. When you're talking with students or looking at their writing, this is your mental checklist. Can they tell you why the author did something? Is their own writing clearly organized? And can they explain their own choices as a writer? That's the goal.
And look, you don't need a massive long test to see where your kids are at. A quick exit ticket like this can tell you everything you need to know. It's fast, it's low stakes, and it gives you instant data on who's got it, who's almost there, and who you might need to pull for a small group tomorrow.
Because ultimately, when we teach text organization this way, we're doing so much more than just preparing for a test. We're literally handing students the blueprints for communication. We're empowering them to see themselves not just as people who read texts, but as people who can build them. We're helping them become authors. Thanks so much for joining this Explain.